We have reached our first semi-final in this absolutely massive EU major, and it's between Renault Vitality and Team Endpoint. My name is Cole. I'm here with Stumpy, and Stumpy, Extra says top 3 for Endpoint. Do you back him there?
That's much nicer than I would be to Endpoint personally. After looking through what they've done in the grid, having a decent performance and getting through into that top kind of 6th position that they found themselves in, I think top 3 is a fantastic thing to hear from one of the best players in the world, certainly on the best squad in Europe right now. So Endpoint wanting to take that and run with it. But whoever wins this matchup will be going through to the grand finals. Don't know about you, Cole, but I still think that sensibility will reign supreme and Vitality should be having this one.
Yeah, I completely agree that the finals, I think it's not nailed on to be BDS Vitality, but it would be a huge surprise if either of the other teams, with massive respect to both of them, were to beat either Vitality or BDS here, especially with the attacking prowess that Vitality have. Look how easy Alpha makes it look. When he gets an air dribble, look at that. 1-touch, 2-touch, and there's Kaydop for 1-0.
Alpha sending it over the top of everybody, and Kaydop taking up his favoured position as goal poacher. Doesn't want to be upsetting the dynamic that Fairypeak and Alpha have. He'll happily sit by, wait for a shot to come to him, allow Fairypeak and Alpha to do all of the hard work, and he'll get the stats padded. But receiving a pass there from Fairypeak, and Virtuoso saving it off the line.
Vitality, after their 3-0 against Giants, are looking hot already. Look how many clean touches they're getting. Endpoint are following it up, just trying to get a touch here, but struggling to do so. And then when they do, look how quickly Fairypeak is closing down Virtuoso there. Endpoint having none of this their own way. And I think what this comes down to, Stumpy, is the big question of, can Endpoint do any better than they did in the Regional 3 finals against Vitality when they lost 4-2?
It was such an incredible performance from them. It was an absolute wonder to watch.
Ooh.
Virtuoso trying to out-mechanic Fairypeak, shot in from Metsunora, saved away by Kaydop, and now the attack from Vitality can continue. But yeah, they had such an amazing performance back in Regional 3. If anybody didn't watch that, I'd recommend going and seeing it, because Gibbs is not lying. That is the best we've ever seen them. And Kaydop wants a bit of revenge from me, saying he just poaches goals. Man sets them up as well.
I was going to say, that was not a goal poacher's goal. That was a lovely piece of mechanics there from Kaydop onto the backboard with that new goal celebration there, which I'm sure you love very much, Stumpy, as a K-pop man yourself. Vitality are looking nice. Vitality are looking as good as ever, really, right now, aren't they? They're looking at their very best already today.
The Endpoint earlier on were playing a fantastic match, ended up taking down the number 3 team that I would regard in Europe, and Metsunora on that long shot will be securing the first goal for Endpoint. And maybe, just maybe, Extra knows what he's talking about when he said that Endpoint are top 3 in Europe.
It's something Metsunora does time and time again. When he gets these interceptions, he doesn't just try to hit the ball, he doesn't race to it. Even when he's trying to cut up a pass, which is a hard thing to do, and you have to sort of be completely confident in your read, he has also got half an eye on the shot or half an eye on the transition. And that's why you saw there that he managed to get it on target, and Endpoint get a fairly free goal by Metsunora's standards.
And Relating Wave pinches it central, and that ends up going in. The drawing goal ends up being the most unique one we've seen so far. That pinch from the side wall, reminiscent of one that I believe Astral scored a few months ago. What a shot.
It rings a bell. I mean, we've talked about the fact that floor pinches are coming into fashion, that ceiling pinches are coming into fashion, that the classic wall pinch is a thing of the past, the Cooksteer pinch. What about the angled one? Nobody talks about that 45-degree angle, the curve of the wall being an avenue to launch a pinch from. What a clever finish that was from Relating Wave.
I mean, that might be the second one we've ever seen in competitive, but Relating Wave will happily stick his name on that. As the long shot comes in, both Relating Wave and Metsunora, not knowing who wants to go for that, and now Central Alpha sends it over the crossbar. Virtuoso takes it low with 100 boost, can continue this pushback, but Kaydop in the centre to catch. Because that 100 boost is gone, Fairypeak will have to continue with none, and Virtuoso, after grabbing it, slices his way through the attacking Vitality.
I've noticed Metsunora try a couple of awkward little half flips when approaching an opponent in the corner, which has almost put him into trouble once or twice. And as I say that, Virtuoso gets a chance for a double tap of his own, but Fairypeak saw it coming and snuffed out that danger. But yeah, what I was going to say was the way the Endpoint defend can be where the majority of their chaos comes from. You've got Metsunora and Relating Wave, who can tend to double commit sometimes. Virtuoso's off doing his own thing, and Metsunora's can just be a little bit, should we say, optimistic when he's trying to close teams down. So I do think that to an extent, they just need to be a little bit more careful against Vitality, at least at the start, and then you can bust out the surprise plays a bit later on. That's nice.
Certainly in this match, Metzer is looking much better defensively than he was earlier. Despite their win against Top Blokes, he did have a few whiffs. And something that I said in the green room at the time we were watching it with the other guys is Metzer always tries to go for the perfect clear. And sometimes you just need to get a touch just to throw off the defense.
It can work. So the first goal that Endpoint got is when it worked, but you're right, it can put them in trouble like it did a little bit later. But Endpoint will be more than pleased how this first game has gone after going a couple of quick goals behind. Metzer around the corner, tries to get it over the top of the goal for a relating wave, but it's cleared away by Alpha. Here comes Virtuoso trying to just complete the pressure on Vitality. But look how they transition with Fairypeak with a double tap. He should get a next touch here. He does. It's only as far as Metzer, and with 1 minute left, it's still 2-2.
Yeah, chance that Alpha goes low. Relating wave, though, stays on the goal line and sends it out towards Virtuoso. Metzer will take over, and Fairypeak thoughts from going any further. Relating wave sends it into that left corner. 45 seconds. Both teams drawn up. Overtime in this first game might just set the tone for the series.
Sonoris puts that one into the center, hoping Relating Wave can do something with it. Let's assume the communications were good there from Endpoint, because if they weren't, and Vitality did have a player following up, then Metzer touch could have just been a pass to Vitality. So we'll give them the benefit of the doubt and assume they knew exactly what was happening. This is what Endpoint do well, that closing down from Relating Wave. He's still up in the air. Comes to Virtuoso. He's in a little bit of danger here, actually, if he doesn't see this one away well. Endpoint finishing this game much better than they started it, going into the last 10 seconds or so.
Yeah, Virtuoso just trying to tickle Kaydop on his way out as well. He tries to bump him off, but Kaydop doesn't jump and so will stay stuck on the wall. 5 seconds now. Metzer down this right wing. None of the Endpoint players pushing up on that, though, as Alpha with no boost sends it high. Kaydop retreats back. Virtuoso sends it to the floor. Game 1 overtime in this semi-finals.
An important first goal here. If Vitality take it, they'll just take so much momentum. But for Endpoint, this is where the belief can be formed. Alpha's putting this one onto the backboard, can't do any more with it, so needs Fairypeak to get a linking touch, which he does absolutely perfectly. Virtuoso up against Alpha. Now Metzer up against Alpha. Thankfully for Endpoint fans, Metzer had a good read there, and it's a good transition too, finding Relating Wave. When these transitions for Endpoint do connect, and the sort of semi-pre-jumps work, they can get the ball from defense to attack so quickly, and it's working today against Vitality.
It's one of their biggest boons, I find, as watching Endpoint week on week over in the grid, is that when those passes come in and there's not a player there, they still continue to go for them. But pass on offense sets Metzer up for the shot. Fairypeak sends it high and away. No player going up until Kaydop takes the initiative. Does not get a touch to send it central. Instead, Virtuoso can hit Metzer on the way through. And from that backboard, Metzer, he's strong here. Can he get it away from just looming Vitality players? Gets one, but Kaydop proves too much.
Yeah, it's a good play there from Metzer, but Fairypeak doesn't have a chance, and Fairypeak should score. How quickly does he go up? And all he needs is one opportunity to punish Endpoint.
It was off the back of Alpha's touch as well. Relating Wave, a full car length away from getting there. And Fairy somehow getting the touch over the top. Vitality, game number 1. It was close, but they take it.
It's a tough situation now for Team Endpoint. Do you believe, Stumpy, that taking it back to OT and then losing OT is more or less painful for Team Endpoint than had that game just turned into a 3-4-0 blowout and they can just write it off completely?
I don't think that's painful whatsoever. I think that's a really good performance by Endpoint in that opening game, and the worst thing you want is to be immediately pushed into a corner by Vitality. You need to show that you can't be bullied, and an overtime for Endpoint has done them well. Vitality, however, weren't playing to the performance we saw them play against Giants, because that was a Vitality that can beat anybody in the world. Endpoint either exceeding expectations to the nth degree, or Vitality just holding some of the cards closer to their chest and yet to show off exactly what they can bring to this major.
Well, the last time these two played, when Endpoint did put in that fantastic performance and got a couple of games against Renault Vitality in a best of 7, Vitality did take game number 1 with a 1-0 victory. So Endpoint have got history on their side, saying that they can come out and blitz Vitality after a performance like that, because actually game 2 in that series was 4-0 Endpoint. So Stumpy, will history repeat itself right here?
Endpoint fans will be hoping so, and Vitality fans hoping that the French do end up reigning supreme, because it's going to need to be a big performance from either team here just to work their way through to be our first grand finalists.
I firmly believe that Vitality can reign supreme, but we will see as we continue this series. Good demo. Actually, it wasn't a good demo. It was Fairypeak on Virtuoso. I thought that was Relating Wave on a Vitality player. Now Fairypeak has a chance to dribble, chance to flick, actually a fake, but it's saved on the goal line.
There's a good chance for Metzer as well to push up further, but he backflips in midfield and doesn't give his team the attacking prowess that he'd like to have. Now from that sidewall, Metzer comes in flying out of absolutely nowhere. An attack that can be so demoralizing to a team where you think you've got such a good chance to move up the pitch, then all of a sudden a defender just flies out and just takes the wind out of yourselves completely. The Relating Wave sends it high with a good challenge on Fairypeak.
Now in comes Virtuoso up against Kaydop. It's a 50-50 in the air. Metsonora's trying to beat, I think it was Alpha there, to the ball, but couldn't quite manage it. But good news for Endpoint as a Relating Wave comes away with a flick. Kaydop should be able to save this one. And a few chances for Endpoint. The Vitality are defending well up to this point, and we know how good their goal line clearances are. The amount of times I've seen Vitality, and I've been convinced that any second, they're about to concede. And somehow, whether it's falling from the ceiling, or coming from the backboard, or just a good old-fashioned double jump at the right time, Endpoint find a way to clear the ball.
Well, that defense is heralded through looking at the numbers as well, because in regional number 3, they conceded the lowest number of goals per game on average, just 1.3. They do not concede that many goals, and it's that defense that puts them up to it as well. And as a direct counter to Virtuoso and therefore Endpoint's playstyle, they were also the least demoed team in regional 3, only getting demoed twice per game on average.
Oh, Endpoint are going to have to go to that plan B we talked about in the pre-show, where they play a more standard style of Rocket League, but it won't matter when Kaydop is getting air dribbles like that.
It was Kaydop's air dribble as well as Alpha's demolish on Virtuoso, the man who led so happily in the demos in Regional 2, but has been silenced coming into Regional number 3. He's dropped down quite dramatically to a sort of high mid-table demos average per game, only getting 1.6 across the entirety of Regional 3, down from 3.5 per game. So Vitality can dodge demos, and Virtuoso being pretty blunted. The numbers are not on Endpoint's side here, and that is a long shot from Kaydop. No demos necessary, 2 for Vitality.
Now there's the goal poaching you talked about. Just dodge it towards the goal and let Fairypeak do... Actually, Fairypeak didn't even do anything. I take it back. Do you know what? That was a really nice finish from Kaydop into the bottom corner. I thought that goal happened because Fairypeak went across the goal and got a bump on Virtuoso. But as far as I could tell there, Virtuoso wasn't reaching it anyway. It was just a clean finish from Kaydop.
Yeah, Virtuoso, though, was threatened, and so couldn't quite jump when he needed to. I do think that the distance was a little bit too far for him to traverse, however. And now, 2 goals down with half the game left. Vitality lead, and it does not look like they've got much intention of slowing down.
Yeah, they're really squeezing the life out of this game of Vitality, getting clean touches here. Fairypeak winning everything in the air, sending Endpoint back, and the confidence that his teammates have in him. Alpha just knows that Fairypeak is winning this one, and look what Vitality are doing as well. Really going for these bumps. Another one now from Alpha, and it's going to lead to a goal. Every single time a Vitality player rotated out there, but Kaydop went for Metanoris in the corner, and then Alpha doubling down. Endpoint have got no chance.
That was all Alpha. Fairypeak with a sublime finish to send it top right. But Alpha falling from the ceiling off his touch, gets then the dunk on Relating Wave, and the defender in net is then bumped away by Alpha. Everything created by the newest addition to that Vitality squad, and he is worth his weight in gold. Again from the ceiling, hitting the ball away from Relating Wave, shutting down every avenue of attack.
Metanoris tries to go onto the backboard, and Kaydop is just waiting. So when Relating Wave goes again, Fairypeak got a touch at that ball. So did Kaydop as well. Vitality just have such a read on Endpoint right now. They're making Endpoint look toothless. Like they can't score against them if they played this game all day long. Such is the control and the poise that Vitality have at this situation. Do they have the flick as well? Not quite as Virtuoso comes from the side, but there's more goals than this for Vitality, and I can't see Endpoint scoring the way this second game has gone.
But they do need a goal as soon as possible, and that miss will mean the Relating Wave can send it central, but Fairypeak from his goal line sends it high and in the middle. Virtuoso burns a lot of boost, but will pinch it on that side. Well, all 3 Vitality players kept in the net, and so Metanoris takes that as his cue to push on. Relating Wave lower on boost than his 2 blue counterparts. Will take advantage of some demos and a bump. Can't quite get around it for the dish, however.
Virtuoso got a demo though. Celebration, everybody. You said he was struggling to get them. Or maybe Virtuoso is back, and that'll just throw a little bit of a spanner in the Vitality works, especially if he can get this touch. Oh, Metanoris tried to redirect it in, but he got too much on the ball. That could have been a goal that at least gave Endpoint a chance, but then Alpha's reads. This could lead to a goal as well.
Virtuoso just stops under that ball and just doesn't fancy it. Look, turns for it and goes, tries to roll it over his shoulder like we've seen him do so frequently to try and throw off the defense.
Yeah.
But that's when you're on attack, Virtuoso. Not when you're the last man back and need to desperately get a touch. Otherwise, Vitality get their fourth. Bad timing from him.
I just love watching Vitality play like this, though. They're so good. Even if this flip reset does come in from Relating Wave, of Endpoint do manage to get themselves a goal. It's just Vitality are a cut above today. I would say on current form, Vitality are going to take whomever they play in the final, whether it's Galaxy Racer or maybe BDS, they're going to take them all the way. This is not going to be a stomping should Vitality make it.
Not at all. The second game, though, has been a stomping as Vitality take it 4-0. The first one being a tight overtime. And this is where the Frenchmen take that extra step above any competition they face on the day.
It's too clean as far as Endpoint are concerned as well. I think their only chance here is to really throw some chaos out in every direction. Just drive, ball chase, be unpredictable, do silly rotations. You might concede a goal from it, but you might get a goal from it. You might give yourself a lead, and suddenly you have something to defend as opposed to just holding on for dear life until Vitality score. I know that you're a fan of going full pace, Stumpy, and I'm completely with you here. That is what Endpoint need to do in this situation to stand any chance.
Relating Wave taking the most time out of any player there to ready up, taking about 40 seconds or so just to rethink their strategy going forward into this game. I do like it when you see teams take their time when they're on that losing side or when the tide starts to turn. And Endpoint fans will be hoping in this third game that it does so. But Vitality fans rejoicing as ever, prepping to put another trophy on their cabinet.
Is there anything else that you can see that Endpoint should be mixing up to try and get themselves back in this series? For me, it's pure pace. But maybe there's something you've seen that's a little bit more nuanced that they can do.
I think it's shut down opportunities before they become shots. Try to have as little saves on the board as you can. Oh, that pre-jump save from Alpha, though. That's got to just take the wind out of your sails so early on in the series.
But it was a chance for Endpoint. A nice double, a nice 1-2 in the approach as well. And Virtuoso continues this attack. So some decent pressure here for Team Endpoint. Kaydop will get it as far as Metsonoris, actually, all the way back in third. I thought Relating Wave would turn, but he didn't. Metsonoris gets a couple of touches. Vert tries to redirect it, but can't quite force the angle. Relating Wave shoots it, it's almost gone through. Alpha with a few touches gets it away, but a great start to Game 3 for Endpoint.
Alpha has been so integral, to the Vitality side. He has been an incredible offensive player. He has been defensively backing up whenever he needs to, and Virtuoso is desperately attempting to break him down. And Alpha again swipes in front of net to get the save.
The most unbelievable defensive performance you will ever see from Alpha 54 right now. Normally we expect him to be in the goals, but today it's all about stopping them and just having that read on Endpoint, who for all their good work in Game 3, still are absolutely scoreless in this one. And the sad thing is, when Vitality come back, you just know they've got a counter-attack in them. This team only need one chance. This could be it. Now it's Alpha on the attack, gets that second touch. Relating Wave forces it high above his goal. And Virtuoso, yet again, in the demo. So they're going for more aggressive plays, Endpoint. And it is working, but they just can't score.
They need to. Anything they can do to disrupt this perfectly rotating Vitality is going to be helpful to them. Any attack they can get on, if you're the third man, don't wait too far back. Go for a bump on any defender that you can. The second man rather, not third. It's a huge, huge game, this one, because if Endpoint end up losing it, suddenly it's reverse sweep time. And against this Vitality, you'd be hard-pressed to side with Endpoint.
100%. They need this game, do the boys in blue. And Vitality are doing the exact right thing right now, just slowing down a tad, waiting for this Endpoint burst of confidence, this burst of momentum to hopefully die down, and then they're going to do the sucker punch. That's how I see this game going and what Vitality are trying here, which is intelligent. Wants to be suckered into a chaotic Endpoint game, but Endpoint still getting clean touches on the ball, getting some decent 50-50s that are going their way. Virtuoso tries to take a touch. This could be the moment where they're punished. Just wide, though.
I mean, we're saying about how much Endpoint need to change. Look at how much they've held this game out. It's been nearly 3 minutes now, and there has not been a goal come in. Alpha, though, going to do his best to change that, but saved away by Vert on that backboard.
Good block.
So far, Vitality held to 1 shot per player. Endpoint have actually had more, but Norris, despite being credited with the save, scores the first goal. Oh no, was it Medsa? Yeah, it was.
It was.
Oh, that's pain. That's pain.
Oh, he was having such a good game, and then the own goal. There have been some classic own goals involved in Vitality series so far today, and there was yet another one. Vitality do have the lead. It was Kaydop that's credited with it, but we all know watching this that Mets and Norris is the real reason that Vitality are currently 1 goal up. But credit to Endpoint, they're still going. Virtuoso gets a double, gets a bit too much pace on that ball, so won't be able to do anything with it. But the frustrating thing here, Stumpy, is that I'd say Endpoint have been the better team in this third game, but they're 2 goals down, and it's getting away from them.
Vitality are just taking every opportunity they get and trying to then stretch that Endpoint defense as much as they possibly can. No shots are coming in unless Vitality think they can score them. They're stretching the defense wide. Not on that last one necessarily, but they're stretching the defense wide, making them dive for a shot, and then there's another player waiting central to get the save away. And Alpha's defensive play has been absolutely phenomenal in this matchup.
One of the best defensive performances I've seen in a very long time from Alpha. All of his pre-jumps are working. Everything he in particular is trying are working. And Vitality, everything they as a team are going for is coming off. There's almost a flip reset for Alpha on the attack. But Metsanora stood up strong to set up Virtuoso, encourage him to come forward, try and force something. Maybe the 50-50 will fall to a player in blue. It's not quite happening, but they're battling on gamely. Our team Endpoint. There's a little touch over the top, which Kaydop will put to the side for Alpha. I'd say that Endpoint need a goal in the next 20 seconds or so. And the way they've played in this third game, if they get it, there is a chance that they bring this one back.
Certainly a chance. It's a slim chance because Endpoint have just been cut out pretty much every single attack they have made. But Vitality, they want to be getting a third. That's all they are hoping for right now. But
relentless
chance. Norris, chance to go central. Shot. Oh, take away, relating wave. Securing the ranked special. Doesn't mean that double touch, but he gets the first goal off the triple commit.
That is what we call a Champ 3 double tap, where you smash it onto the crossbar where you should have scored, and you're fortunate enough to follow it home. But Endpoint, they drew a little bit of luck after the own goal that broke the deadlock in this one for Mets and Norris, who now puts the ball onto the back. But Virtuoso is following it, and he can't get it. Relating wave the same again, and Mets and Norris is completely out of boost. But look at Vitality. All of them in this corner. This 50-50 falls to Relating wave. He puts it on target. Kaydop will put it into the corner where Virtuoso is waiting. Who's arriving? It's Mets and Norris, but the shot's weak. And while Virtuoso tries his best to get some bumps and demos, it's just not going to happen. Misses the final chance. Fairypeak closes it down.
Oh, the team
and the ball hits the floor. So close again for Endpoint. And now they are in reverse sweep territory.
This is, bear in mind, the first round of best of sevens we're having. Some fans will be looking at this thinking, oh, okay, that's that over with. It's been best of 5 up to this point. But no, one more chance for Vitality to get this game, and they go through unbeaten into our grand finals after 3-0ing Giants earlier. And Endpoint, unfortunately for them, potentially going out with a little bit of a whimper. This is where Endpoint need energy, and it's where Vitality need to knuckle down and just get it done.
Yeah, we're looking at the highlights there of that game. What it doesn't show is how many opportunities Endpoint had there to take the lead in that third game. They just weren't able to. They fought till the very end. So there is momentum they can bring with them into game number 4 in this series. I think they've just got to try the same thing again. Any other day, they could have won that third game. Maybe with the same approach, the same play style, the same, throw everything and see what happens. They could do this.
Yeah, and Vitality a level above. Truly incredible Rocket League to watch. In this potential final game, Endpoint needs something, and Vitality want to close it out.
Ooh, Virtuoso did not want Relating Wave to get a touch there. They still need to keep the communication on point as well to Endpoint. It's all well and good saying, be unpredictable, be a little bit silly with everything, but your teammates have to know what you're doing, even if your opponents don't. That's a good touch from Virtuoso, missed by Relating Wave and Fairypeak. Messenorus comes in from the side. I was really hoping he'd be following that one up a bit closer, but it wasn't to be. But good pressure again at the start of the game for Endpoint.
Great touch on by Alpha. Credited as a shot as well. In midfield, he is lurking again. Sends it high. Relating Wave can bat that one into the half of Vitality. Now, Kaydop round that right side. Taken over by Alpha, who does drop in a cheeky half rotate. That ball falls central and off that crossbar. Alpha again saving away.
It came off a mistake as well from a Vitality player. It seemed that had let Endpoint in, but even when they themselves are the ones causing the problems, Vitality find a way to fix it, but not that occasion. It's flicked by Virtuoso. Endpoint take the lead.
Virtuoso with that flick over will get the opening goal. Kaydop can't make the touch, but Virtuoso touches Fairypeak away from a saving position. Now the chance to keep this lead in this game will become harder as time ticks down because Vitality are not ones to give up this early on. No team at this level is. They are going to be pushing. They're going to be turning that screw and wanting to bring another goal back.
What Endpoint can do, though, is just try and punish Vitality on the counter-attack. Maybe not yet, but as you mentioned, Stumpy, there will come a point where Vitality have to push a little bit further and a little bit harder than they're comfortable with. Whether that's going to happen anytime soon remains to be seen, but Relating Wave will try and block out Alpha. Once the backboard he goes, Alpha's got a touch here. Fairypeak misses. So does Kaydop. And Metsonoris tried to get a touch there, but instead it's Kaydop that flicks it away.
Saved by Metza, takes it into the corner, can turn again, but can't get it round Alpha, who in every single position he finds himself in does end up just getting that touch to keep it away from any attacker. Again, off that side wall, takes it away from Virtuoso. Again, swiping over and over again like a cat on a shelf across that Endpoint defense.
He is. Ironically, he's very dogged with his approach and attack as well, despite being cat on a shelf light. Look at Alpha, another great touch there into the corner. Kaydop's closing this down. He's had a great series, Kaydop, as well. Really clean and precise with his shooting. And Fairypeak puts that one across. This could be it. Alpha shoots, and there's the equalizer. A classic Vitality passing play.
The miss from Fairypeak is merely a misdirection because he can then cycle back round Alpha to receive central and even again at around the halfway mark. Endpoint's defense looking pretty good and then all of a sudden torn away by a couple of passes.
Just excellent in the attack of Vitality. They have been all series long. There's almost another one saved by Virtuoso. Good read, but Kaydop's following it up again. Gets a 50-50 into the corner. So Metsonoris can bring this one away. Into the center he goes. Virtuoso wants a touch and gets one over the top of Kaydop. Unfortunately for him, it just falls to Fairypeak, who lets Alpha take control. Oh, just look. Imagine the comms here. The moment Alpha says, I got it.
Oh, man. Fairypeak can't get that next touch, and Alpha will go in from underneath and score the second for Vitality. The second in about 25 seconds as well. Vitality looking that cut above. Endpoint looking like their answers are just not being revealed to them. Meeting up in the midfield as Virtuoso is on a manhunt in the Vitality back third.
Wave almost brought it back there for Endpoint, but it was saved by Fairypeak, once again using all of his intelligence to see exactly what Endpoint are going to try. And now Kaydop, who's played so well, puts that one onto the backboard. Metsonoris and Virtuoso both in the Endpoint goal. It is an interception there by Relating Wave, but it's only as far as Alpha. It's a good touch into the corner there by Kaydop. He's going to get another bite at this one as well. Fairypeak's arriving. Virtuoso's had a swing and a miss, but Metsonoris saves.
Very good chance there for Vitality to score, but just ends up going wide. As now Virtuoso can dribble centrally. His upside down jump back to the floor to get him to the ground quicker to throw off the defense. Worked for him earlier in their series as Metsonoris goes for one, goes for the second. Virtuoso can't come in with the shot, however, and Metza delivers it central once again. Wave not ready to receive.
Alpha tries to dribble in the same way that Metsonoris just did, but it wasn't quite as good. The ball just falls to Virtuoso in the center, gets one touch, then fakes another one, flicks it past Fairypeak. Alpha has to be very careful, and he finds Fairypeak with a huge doink just to get Vitality on the attack. It might be a goal as well. Relating Wave helps it round the corner, and surely, Stumpy, that is game, set, and match for Vitality.
I tell you what it is, it's a doink assist. You don't see them frequently. Relating Wave had to do his best. That was either going in just by a roller, or it was going in with his help, and he made the right decision. Couldn't quite get to it. And now Vitality up by 2. The final 50 seconds, and this could be a 4-0 sweep for Vitality. After Endpoint looked so fantastic versus top loads, they have been shut down by the Frenchman.
I'm so curious to see Alpha's personal rating in this game as well, because of all the saves he's made. He's got a hat-trick in this game, the only goal scorer for his team, but that one's sneaking in. It's not over just yet. Virtuoso gives Endpoint a chance.
Falling back down onto it after double committing.
There's the chaos.
Ends up throwing Alpha completely out of whack. And in the goal does the ball fall. One goal now, separating Endpoint from drawing along with Vitality. Final 30 is going to be huge.
Metsonoris into the air. He's got Virtuoso next to him. Virtuoso does move the pre-jump, gets the touch, but Kaydop tracking it all the way. Such good defending from the multiple-time world champion. He's got this EU major in his sights. Won so much as Kaydop, have all of them really. Just need to see this game away, and they're in yet another grand finals. Relating Wave puts it to the side. Endpoint need this to happen. There's bumps going on. All sorts of stuff happening for Virtuoso, but Alpha, who else, takes the touch, gets his 4th of the game, and Renault Vitality will be your first finalists.
Vitality must have said at the start of today, let's get this bread. And they've made good on their promise by delivering pain to Endpoint. This has been a huge performance by Vitality to go 7-0 through these major playoffs. And that's it. That's them through. Grand finalists in Vitality.
Another grand final for Kaydop. He just never fails to make it. After going out in the semi-finals of EU Regional 1, going out in the semi-finals of EU Regional 2, Vitality have turned it all around, and they are proving that they are at least in the conversation of being EU's premium team. Whether they are or are not compared to BDS is up for you guys, but there's definitely a cut above between those two and everybody else.